So I'm currently a dean at a small private school in the Midwest, and it's a good gig. But again, there's these opportunities. So, John and Owen and I have known each other for 10 years-ish. There's a funny story around hiring John and not hiring Owen. I won't go into the details, but it's funny. But I've known him for a long time, and we've been dancing around this idea for probably 5 or 6 or 8 years in our careers, and finally, not terribly long ago, kind of came together and said, we have a real opportunity. The market's changing, the timing is right, so
yeah,
we're doing it.
It's amazing. That's amazing. Tom mentioned shift, and so I just want you to say whatever you want to say, but I definitely want you to talk a little bit more in detail about shift, because that's one of the things I've been watching you guys do for the last couple of years, and I know Owen's excited about it too, so he could do an equally good job. But tell us a little bit about shift too, as you tell us about where you're coming from and why Aether.
Sure. So shift happened a long time ago and not labeled as shift, right? We were looking at what was happening in the classroom and looking at opportunities where students needed to get away from the computers to understand what they already knew, right? They just didn't know how to access it inside of them.
Yeah.
And so we formalized that and really started taking not just design students out into the woods, but a lot of other types of students into the woods to work on amazing projects in partnership with professionals that wanted to give and donate their time to help the next generation. And each one of those events is themed. It's based on something that's local to the community. So it could be about the local community of music makers or physical art and design makers. It could be about the education system that happens to be there, right? It might be a unique education system. And all of those hyper-local contexts change the way that each shift camp is organized and ran. And so you have to go to all of them, right? You can't just go to one and think you know what shift is about. Each time you go, they're totally different, right? And I think that's the beautiful part about that is that, yes, it is a shift camp, but this camp is so much more than just that one place where it's at. It changes as you travel around the world.
And that's really amazing. And you guys are doing some around the world coming up soon. So where are your background? What have you been doing for the last couple of years, John, before Aether started? And then why Aether?
So I graduated with an architecture degree and industrial design degree. And I worked for almost a decade in the industrial design space, user experience, service design space, helping build curriculum, running sponsored projects, working with a lot of different companies and organizations in higher learning. And those are amazing project-based experiences. But again, the institutions themselves have growing pains. Right? They're not alone in the world. They're having to deal with the government. They're having to deal with what the corporations and organizations want from the students. And sometimes the schools can't provide those. Right? And so, again, it has just come to this point where you look at all of this happening in the world, and you're like, this is the moment where we have to act, or the world's going to go down the wrong path. And so we're trying to partner with all of our friends that are in the industry who want to help make this happen, and we're going to make it happen.
That's amazing. I love you said that, because it's a good jumping off point for me to talk to Owen for a minute here. And as futurists, we talk a lot about education too. It comes up with every client because they want to know where their talent's coming from. They want to know that the right people are being trained to be global thinkers. We always talk to our clients and say, it's great that you're hiring for what you need now, but things are changing so quickly that once you hire that person, they really need to be adaptive and flexible to do the next thing already. So you aren't hiring for the job that's now, you're hiring for this more holistic thinking. And this is exactly, I think, what you guys are trying to do. And so, on that point, Owen, I know that you get really passionate about who comes to the shift camp, getting those people that come to the camp and getting them to network together, and the magic, that Tom was talking about the last few days. And so who exactly is it that shows up for a shift and then for Meta and for Prism?
So far, we've had students from probably 15, 20 different colleges from around the world, and it's any creative. It doesn't mean that you're a designer. It could be a writer, it could be an accountant, it could be anyone that has that creative juice. And we've also had several companies send out designers and different professionals all the way up to around 65, 70-year-old, what we call igniters. And it's a full week of immersion. And there's no name badges. There's no, okay, I'm this, I'm that. Everyone's equal. So you have students from different colleges working with each other from different majors, and then they're mixing in with these professionals, and it all accumulates to like conversations around the campfire. The campfire is the biggest and greatest thing that we accomplish, because though we have challenges and though we have teams and winners and all of those things, they're learning lessons. It's when they can sit down around the campfire at night and become human and ask those questions, and the professionals or the igniters then become these mentors, and they become these people that are on the pedestal that want to give, and they become very humble about it. And our whole motto is humbleness. It's not about, oh, we gotta have glamorous this, glamorous that. No, it's about education, making the next generations greater than we'll ever be. And if you're humble about it, if you really want it, you want them to be greater than you. You want to give everything that you wish you had or you have inside of you. And then they come up and jump off of you to greater heights. And that's what each stage is about. It's about taking a group in the middle of the woods, in the middle of an urban setting, in a different country for a week or so. Then we're going to jump them into a longer period, around 12 weeks, and have them become these high risk, high reward situations. So when they get through, they become teachers of that. The only way that you know that you understand information is if you can teach it. And if you have that much knowledge and that much understanding, and you have the self-confidence to be a teacher, then you can accomplish anything in the world.
That's awesome.
And that's what we're shooting for.
Yeah. So we can barely tell that you're excited.
No,
barely tell that you're excited. You're just coming out of your shell about the whole concept. So he's excited about it. And this is exactly, you guys are creating these transdisciplinary, talent for the next era. That's exactly what you're doing. That's why I'm so in love with your model, because you're not just creating designers. This is not really a design thing. It's not even a features thing. It's not the two by themselves. We're creating those transdisciplinary, builders and creators of tomorrow, people that can create the future. And I love that. And that's what I love about our partnership. So